Um, it was a big close to the month in February. We haven't spoken since the close of the month, and obviously March is probably it's the second or third biggest month of the year for most network marketing companies. So we're coming into prime time the next few months in our industry, and it's really time to get focused, get busy, turn up the dial with enrolling and meetings, Zooms, participating, all that kind of good stuff. But before I have a few different things, I know this weekend we had Europe roll out Evolve and Collagen and not Collagen, that was last month. The Momentum Academies were in Europe and Canada. So we have a team up in Europe, and that went very well. April and I were actually supposed to go do that one. we gracefully and professionally bowed out, but they got the best of the best. Tara Wilson went there, and I'm sure Tara just knocked them dead in London. So, but Fred, we got a lot of stuff to discuss. Could you just give us a quick 1 minute or two overview of what went on in Canada?
Yeah, we had Steve Fife was there, and Julie Boyster, Sean Poe, Brett Brimhall were the main speakers. We had a few panels, and of course, we launched the new product. So I don't think that it's a product line; it's a secret anymore. So it's up to you what you want to talk about that tonight. But because they launched it in Europe and in Canada. But there was some new around the tracks. So everybody get busy starting now, because there's extra bonuses for tracks and even trips that they're doing. The company's just growing up. They're doing a trip for Canadians when they hit 4 tracks in 4 months, which is, come on. And so there's a trip for that. And they're doing it, they said, in each market. So it might be a different qualifications for in the U.S. market. I don't know. But it was just really good. It was small. It was, pretty intimate, less than 150 people in Edmonton. It was cold outside, but it was warm in the building. And you just got the feeling that we're in the right place at the right time with the right company. And so get to Nashville is my advice. We're going to Nashville as well. So we hit both of them, and I'm still in Alberta right now. I'm not in we're heading home tomorrow. So, but it was awesome. So thanks, Bob.
Thanks for the update, Fred. And no, we will not be discussing the products tonight on here. We get in enough trouble without trying. So we'll just wait for that to just happen organically however it's scheduled, whether it's this week or Nashville, I'm not sure, but I know things went very well.
Yeah, we know the company, and they just don't do stuff halfway. Like, when they brought out Collagen, I was excited about it because it's LifeVantage. And so what they do, they just don't do half measures. And with this science team, with Lisa Barnes and under Steve Fife's direction, we're going to all be very, 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 very happy.
Excellent. Thanks, Fred. A couple things. April's got a training scheduled for tonight, but a couple things I want to just make you aware of, and then April will get started. But March 25th, circle that date, write that date down. It's a Monday, okay? That will be our team's opportunity Zoom. The one we do once a month. It'd be Monday the 25th, 8:30 Eastern time. Same link, same time. It's this month. It's March 25th. So write that one down. It's funny. Fred mentioned Nashville, and with there being a pretty big gap in between live events, the live events are going to start really taking on a lot more meaning And the meaning, I mean, in that is that there's a certain element that us being all together in person with each other, enjoying each other's company, strategizing with each other, being in training or whatever the event is, that Zoom will never replace. Okay. Technology will never replace it. We're wired to be around each other and enjoy each other. Okay. That's how God wired us. And we're supposed to interact and we're supposed to gather. And then we're supposed to go out and share the message. Okay. It's biblical, folks. It's not new. It's biblical on how we build our business. And, don't shortchange the live events. Okay. Nashville is going to be epic. Okay. For many, many reasons. I don't know what goes on after that. I've heard there's going to be some East Coast, West Coast stuff. I'm not sure exactly what's going on for the rest of the year, but you still have, a week, 10 days to get yourself to Nashville if you weren't planning on it. Some people have some tickets available. If you haven't gotten a ticket, there are some tickets available. There are even some people looking to share a room. Okay, so there's a number of different opportunities out there if you want to make a last minute decision to fly in or drive in. Let us know and we'll try and help figure that out for you. Okay, so or let your sponsor know. Before I turn it over to April, I'm going to ask Kenneth to speak in a second for a few minutes. If you missed the opportunity to be on the celebration Zoom the other day, you missed something really, really cool. Okay. We hadn't done that before. And I'd like to say it was our idea, but it wasn't. Carrie Dickey did it to me in April when we hit executive last month. And when Kenneth, who is a brand new MC3, okay, and you can clap, you can, if you weren't on, give him a hand. It's brand new MC3. We thought it was so cool what Carrie did with us. We wanted to do the same thing, for Kenneth. And I just want to give you a little bit, if you're not familiar, MC3 is 40,000, in a month. It's the 40,000 mark. MC3 gives you direct access to the leadership line at the company. That's Lilia and her team, okay, for various things. MC3 is the one just below EC1. It's the last one before you go executive. So anyway, Kenneth hit that. He just missed 5 times diamond. Okay, if you're not familiar with diamond, shame on you. Okay, but a diamond is somebody that has 4,000 points in customer points. So a double diamond is 8,000, a triple is 12, a quadruple is 16, a 5 times, whatever they call that in words, I don't know, quintuple, whatever it is, but that's 20,000 points. He had like 19,300. So it's been fun. Kenneth's been like a partner. Kenneth's the big reason that we had a comfort level with choosing LifeVantage. We had strategized about it and talked about it, and he was with us in the old company. Okay. And when we came here, he was doing some digging while we were doing some digging. And long story short, he just hit MC3. He's got a great team that is growing really fast now. And we haven't met those folks in person yet. We will in Nashville. But Kenneth, would you take a couple minutes? It was fun the other day. And if you missed it, go to US Consultant Facebook page. I posted the link of the celebration there. And it's also, I posted it on our team page, the Team Unity page. So if you missed it, and it's 20 minutes or so, it's not that long, but you will really get excited and motivated, and it'll really make you feel good. So Kenneth, did it make your trip home? Make you smile a little bit during that long trip home, man? When I heard from Denmark to Paris to Atlanta to Tampa, I'm like, oh man. Welcome home.
That was so
Welcome
yeah,
home.
thank you. So So we do thank you, and I'm thank you to both of you, April and Bob, for doing that call. That was really special, and it was so nice. You know, it was at 11 o'clock at night over there in Europe. I just been out for dinner with my family and gone to a show, and then got home, and this whole thing happened, and then you know, went to bed. Of course, I couldn't fall asleep, and I had to get up at 4:45 to catch the train to the airport. I'm like, yeah, this is not good. But I slept on the plane a little bit, so. But you know,
Hey, and
it's
all,
just
a lot of
fun, right?
corporate was on there for you, man. You had a lot of corporate
Yeah, that was
people on that
amazing.
call. Yep.
That was amazing, and they all are so nice, and that just shows the support, right? I mean, it's as I said on the call, it sort of has three pillars for me to build this business, and you know, the one is having a product that sells, a product that people want. I think we can say check to that. Number two is you got to be able to make money. I mean, we're all in this to help people and to help ourselves, but we got to make money. I'm all for charity, absolutely, but you know, I learned early on that if you can't take care of yourself, it's very hard to be also open to other people as well, right? So we got to make money, and the last thing is you got to have support. And I think that this team is a super strong team, right? We're all very supportive of each other, and having Bob and April leaders is great. But we all got to take action. You know, it's not for Bob and April to build our business. We got to build our business ourselves. And you know, it's all about not just expecting it to happen, right? I mean, if you get a no, well, then talk to two more people. And if you get two more no's, well, then talk to five more people. Then maybe you get a yes, right? Now, I have a lot of these sales associates at my Orange Theory studios, and you know, when we go out and get leads, and when we go out on the street and we talk to people, you know, I always charge them and say, hey, today it's about going out getting 20 no's. I'm like, wait, what? What do you mean getting no's? I said, yeah, go out and get 20 no's. Well, guess what happens? Well, while they're getting their 20 no's, they actually go out and get 3 yeses. And then they come back and say, well, I got 3 yeses. And that's a celebration. If I told them, let's go out and get some leads, find some people who say yes, well, that's a lot of pressure. And they're like, I don't know about doing that, right? So sometimes it's about just changing your mindset. Yeah, as I said the other day on the call, that you cannot eat an elephant in one bite. You got to chop it down in small bits and pieces, and do a little bit here, a little bit there. But you know, that's the whole key. It's not going to take one thing to just make this business happen, right? We're gonna work on all the pieces, and I think this new track system is phenomenal, right? I mean, we focus on recruiting, on growth for next month, and retaining, right? And that's just you know, that makes all the sense in the world. So as long as we just keep plugging away, you know, things will come together. But yeah, it's for sure not possible to sort of get to these MC3 levels by yourself. Now you can probably get to MC1, MC2 by yourself. What I mean by yourself is you can do a lot of that volume yourself, but to really grow into the bigger levels, you need a team, right? And I'm super thankful for the people on my team, because they are just working their butts off, and of course everybody wants to rise up, and that benefits the whole group. So you know, I wish all of you that you get this celebration, because it was truly special. Yeah.
It was, and we appreciate you. And for those of you that don't know, you know, that there's a couple things I want to share with you with Kenneth. Number one, he was a cold market lead. He answered an ad April and I were running. We were running ads on Fox News on Sirius XM radio, and he answered an ad. It was a business opportunity ad back when you could run a 60-second commercial. It's probably like 14 years ago or something. Sirius was kind of new, and he was a hang up. He hung up because nobody answered the phone. He was a busy guy. He dialed in. Well, the system picked up his phone number, but he didn't leave a message. He hung up. And so Kenneth came in as cold market as a hang up. But the thing that, you know, we've gotten very close over the years, the thing that I like about him and what we have in common is we try a lot of new stuff, no, regardless of whether it's ever been done before. I've always done that and he does it. Okay. And April's always done that. We do what's proven to work. You know, there's a system that works with sampling people, with sharing messages, but we are always trying new things that haven't been done before, or maybe people haven't worked it long enough to figure it out. And, you know, that's some of what Kenneth's done in the last 6 months since Evolve, 8-10 months, going on a year now, since Evolve started. He's always playing and trying new stuff. And I want to encourage you, just because somebody's not doing it, just because somebody tried it and it didn't work, just because somebody's a quitter and gave it 2 weeks when it needed 3 months, that doesn't mean don't do things, okay? But you always do what's working along with experimenting and trying new things. You don't replace what's working, okay? You do what everybody is doing that is working, but you should always be working on other ways of doing business, advertising, projects, just ways of getting out in front of people. And you're entrepreneurs. Every one of you is an entrepreneur. And you know what that means? You don't need anybody's permission. Just go do it. Okay. You're your own boss and you don't need, now it doesn't hurt to get advice, especially if you know somebody who's done it before, but procrastination is the kiss of death in this business. What are we? We're an activation company. So all we're trying to do is find other methods to introduce these great products and great pay system to people that maybe haven't. We were the first ones to ever do radio, okay, in network marketing. We're the first ones to ever do satellite radio. We've done movie screens. We've done billboard signs. We've done some of the craziest crap you've ever imagined. Most of it doesn't work, okay, but a lot of it did work. Our faxing with doctors 20 years ago earned us millions, okay? People don't even know what a fax machine is anymore, okay? But you got to try things and tweak them and not quit too early on it, because look, we could have said, well, you know, this Fox News thing is getting expensive, and maybe pulled the plug, and then we never meet Kenneth. Okay, Jaya, who's on here, Dr. Castori, answered an absolutely ice cold frozen fax that came from somebody in New York, okay, and that happened to be me, okay, and she was in Chicago, okay, and she answered it, and 25 years later, she's still here. Okay, so you got to be open and willing to try things, okay? And, but never at the expense of what's working. You always do what's working while you're playing and tweaking and trying new things. So anyway, Kenneth, I appreciate that. We appreciate you. We gotta plan on one of our halfway breakfasts. Maybe we'll do that right after Nashville. The schedule this week is pretty intense, so we'll do that right after Nashville. So, but April, are you all set? You gotta unmute yourself, dear.
I didn't realize I was muted. All right, sorry all. You'd think I'd have it figured out after all.
Okay,
this.
and for those of you, I just got a text from Skylar. The products that are coming out that are already in Canada and Europe are being introduced at Momentum Academy in the United States. So we got another week. Okay. So anyway, go ahead, April.
All right, cool. Good. Well, we hope many of you get to be celebrated the way Kenneth was the other day, because that really was a lot of fun. And we're looking forward to that. It's funny, Bobby's going down memory lane with faxing, and it's kind of a perfect lead in to the training I'm going to do tonight. It's a little bit different, but I think you'll be able to laugh certainly at me, certainly at yourself. There's so much going on with technology. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, and where's our play? Okay, so hopefully that is good and you can all see. And I want to talk about digital messages today. This is an area where if you're not super careful with what you think you're sending out, you could be sending out something crazy, something wrong, something rude, something that the person totally doesn't even understand. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And this is something, I've noticed how much, for years, and you may have heard me say this, when we did a lot of that not texting, the faxing, or even, the radio and stuff, a lot of that was on the phone. And so at that point, and I know Jaya knows this, I worked to improve my phone skills tremendously, to be able to hear what was, because you can't see, they don't see you. So you're kind of losing some senses. So you've got to work on other senses. And so when we talk about digital messaging, we've really gotten rid of even more senses. People can't really feel what you're saying anymore. They see the words, but do the words mean the same thing as they do to you? So, there's different terminology out there. There's digital people that are native, and those are generally the younger people. And then we have the adapters, and probably most of us fall into the adapters. So if you look, the first text message, and that's primarily how most of us deal these days. I mean, if you think about it, as I go through this and you see some of this stuff, we're not even emailing anymore. Emailing is going by the wayside. We get so many emails that we're bombarded that it's a chore to catch up. And I know many people, even big builders in this business, that never bother with their email. They've got 10,000 emails, and if they ever get to clear it out, they do. They're not overly concerned with it. So the first text message was sent in 1992, almost 1993. I don't know about you, but to me, that feels like almost yesterday. Is that anybody else? It doesn't really feel like a long time ago. It feels like, and I know, most of us did not text until 2000, 2007, which is even worse, because that was 24 to 17 years ago. But that doesn't feel like a really long time either. When I hear these dates, 2000, I mean, that's not that long ago, but texting has become very mainstream. Emails, again, got popular in 95, 1997 to 2000 is when most people had an email address. As these things are coming into play, guess what's falling by the wayside? People aren't picking up the phone anymore. If you've ever run any kind of advertising, they're not picking up the phone. So now we can't get their phone number. So now we're trying to get their phone number to text. They give an email, but they're not really interested in email. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this. This is where you need to be aware of who you're talking to. And that's what this whole digital platform should be for you. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to somebody that's older in age, that had to kind of evolve through this whole thing? Because what the digital adapter feels is okay, and what a youngster is doing are still miles away, even though we're all texting, and men and women text differently. So you've got to be careful of who you're texting. A text is not just a bunch of words you're going to send to anybody anymore. Somebody that's a digital adapter looking to do more texting, trying to figure it out, still would like a phone call. I still occasionally, particularly, it's funny enough, doctors, they either want me to send them an email or they want to get on the phone still to talk. That's not typical of most all my leads. They typically don't answer texts quickly. So, if you're a native to texting and you're accustomed to texting, you may expect a text very quickly. And I've heard many of us say, they just didn't text me back yet, and so you have to get used to who you're talking to. This group, people that are not real texters, that weren't grown up with this, or getting more used to it. They'll ask for, as I said, a lot of the docs that I deal with, they want the details in an email. That's their comfort level. They still go back to the email. You'll find that their texts are very formal. Dear April, they'll tell me who it's coming from, even though I know who it's coming from. They're much longer texts, which is kind of crazy because we all hate to read those long texts. But, that's a digital adapter. Someone that's really grown up with texting, been doing texting for a while, will prefer texting over everything. So they'll go back and forth. Even if to set up an appointment, they'll do it all through text. They will text you to ask if it's okay to call you. Have you noticed that trend lately? you'll actually text somebody and then call them. So this is all very normal. This is what's going on out there. They respond to a phone call with a text. They don't call back. They respond with a text. This is key. And I've struggled with this myself, and this is probably me. They don't listen to voicemails anymore. Whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Instagram, I don't like the noise. The phone is off. This is very common. So if you find your first approach with somebody is to leave a voicemail or to leave a voice message, you know, just check yourself. They may be a person who just prefers, and I would just ask, you know, it's such a crazy world out there. I just ask people what their preference is, if they're interested, if they're not. It alleviates any, you know, frustration on my part. So I just ask when I'm not sure. They'll use a lot of these abbreviations. Be careful with who you use the abbreviations with, because I've gotten abbreviations from people and I just looked at it and I'm like, I can't figure it out. So I had a coach about 2 years ago that I worked with. I probably spent a good year with her. And the thing that she said again and again, which to this day I still love, is she would say GTS. Bobby knows what this means. And this is not normally my language, but she would say, Google that and you can SH figure the rest out. So, you know, but, you know, she didn't want to be bothered with the little things when you could actually Google or get that information very easily somewhere else. So let that be your best friend. If you get yourself in an abbreviation that you're like, I just can't figure that one out at all, go ahead and Google it. You know, there's a lot of shortcuts with using social media, Instagram, Facebook. You can find that all on the internet. Now, unlike any other time, if we were going back 20 years, 30 years, you know, when we wrote things, we didn't use a lot of explanation. You know, we didn't use a lot of pronunciation or not, pronunciation marks all over the place. So here, I would say almost every text you send out should have an exclamation point in it, at least one, maybe two, maybe three. It's the way that we come across as being friendly, as smiling, as positive. Because have you ever read a text where you read it and you're like, I'm not sure if they're happy or mad at me. It could go either way. I'm not really sure what they're trying to say. So this is mandatory now. I don't think there's a text that I've sent out recently that doesn't have a smile in it, that doesn't, you know, have some happy emojis in it, because I want people to know that whatever I'm saying, I don't want it to come across in a negative way. I want it to come across in a very positive way. And there are some people that are just negative all the time anyway. So, you know, I want to keep it on a friendly basis, as if I was face to face with them and I was actually smiling. This is kind of funny. I had to share this, and this is totally, you'll never use this, probably never see this, but it does keep in mind, we need to be careful with different languages. And, you know, it's funny, they were even explaining, Jay, you know, how when Indian people talk, their directive in the end of the sentence, how it's pronounced compared to here in the United States, made me understand some things I really didn't understand. But, you know, we know a thumbs up. I did that with my kids when they were tiny, when they were 2 years old. You know, they'd look at me and I'd give them a thumbs up. Go ahead, you know, go to that slide, go to that swing, whatever. You could go play with that kid. We know a thumbs up here is good. Yes, okay. But we deal with a lot of people, particularly when we got in the medical market, from a lot of different backgrounds. So check this out. You know, a thumbs up is not good in Nigeria, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran. It means sit on it. It's very negative, very, very bad. You don't want to say that to them. So we have to be super careful with who we're talking to, and watch what we say, and not just think that some of these things that we say very quickly are easy. Also, fruit emojis. I would totally stay away from fruit emojis, because they have what I never even knew, all this sexual connotation. That to me, at my age, fruit is fruit, but to the younger generation, maybe they just don't eat fruit anymore. I don't know what the deal is, but stay away from the fruit totally, unless you know who you're talking to and what you're saying from, because they all mean different body parts and stuff that are really bad. Did you ever wonder about the heart you're sending? You know, why did somebody send me a yellow heart? Why did somebody send me a green heart? Why did somebody send me a purple heart? You know, there's all these different hearts up there. So, you know, again, you may want to check, you know, it might look pretty to do the heart with the two butterflies when you're trying to be positive, and now you're saying you've got butterflies in your stomach. So you may want to just check on some of this stuff before you know what, because you could really mess up with a message with just an emoji in there. So, okay, I'm going to go through this. The one thing this was on a serious note. You know, there actually was a landlord that he was texting back and forth with some potential tenants, and he was super excited. And this is actually a law case. He was super excited about the tenants because they used a lot of emojis, champagne bottles, you know, smiley faces, all these really cool things. And he thought, well, these seem like really upbeat people, great people. And then he sent back, you know, that you were going to pay this much for the month or whatever, and the lease. And they sent back some smiley faces, lots of smiley faces and all. And the tenant took that unit off the market because he'd gotten all these smiley faces, champagne bottles, you know, that everything to him based on the texts meant that they were moving forward. Well, all of a sudden, the potential tenants didn't get back to him over time. He got really mad, took him to court, and those people wound up paying $2,200 because they put a bunch of smileys in their texting. So again, we need to be careful because that's setting precedents for law. This I found really confusing, and I'm sure I am totally guilty of this one. You know, I think initially to me, this looked like people crying. I don't know if that was you. It was totally what I thought until I finally realized what was going on here. So the first one is tears of joy. Well, I would think I probably put it in for somebody crying. I'm sure at some point I did, because that's what it looked more like to me. The second one is laughing really, really hard. So neither one of those really seemed to be crying one. Now, there's a river that loudly crying, if you're really talking about crying to somebody, not to be confused with just a little bit sad, or another little blue dot is a sleepy face. So again, our phones are little. There's a lot of little emojis in there. We just need to be careful because some people are very savvy with this stuff and they pick up on it very quickly. So we don't ever, particularly, you know, when we're prospecting, sometimes it's hard enough to create that relationship, especially if you're on social media. If you're just doing it through the DMs, it's a lot harder to create that relationship. Certainly emojis can help, but you better know what you're sending and send the right thing. Because if you send something confusing, it's almost like people get scared. They ghost you because you sent something confusing instead of just saying, I don't understand what you sent. They're likely to back away and not want to deal with you. So again, I thought these two were interesting. And like I said, I'm pretty sure I've messed those up. The other thing is watch how you respond to things. This is a simple case in point where somebody said, can you walk my dog tonight? Well, sure, there's that exclamation point. It's there. They're happy. They're positive. They're going to do it. Sure, with a period means it's an imposition. I'll do it, but I have to forego something else, or it's an imposition. I'm not happy about it. So when you get that sure like that, that's what it means. The interesting part here is the sure with the 3 dots. That is not committing to anything. So, you know, that's interesting there. So you can see it's important that you know what some of these things, what this dot, this exclamation is. You know, today when they put those 3 dots, or I should say prior when they put those 3 dots, it meant that they kind of left out part of a sentence. They did the first part of the sentence, they did the second part, and they left maybe out some middle details. And they were letting you know that they left out those details and it was okay. Well, it's today, it could be like, they have no words for what you're saying. They may be mad at you. It may be funny. So you really have to watch what you're writing there. So if they did that with the ... with those glasses, that might mean it's super funny, but not sure if my email made it to you as I haven't heard from you could be an angry way. So again, these are ways that we're communicating these days that make life super confusing. So I would suggest to always, you know, almost put your text together and then check it again, almost, put your phone down, wait a second, and then look at that message to make sure that one, you included all the words, but there's punctuation in there that you can be using so that the person can get the feel of what you're trying to say there. The other way, and you can see here too, are you at your desk? Well, if I put just one question mark, it's like casually, hey, are you at your desk? But if I put a bunch of question marks, it's putting importance on it, and maybe something is really bad going on. Like, I got to know if you're at your desk because I got to talk to you about something with the boss or something that's happening going on. So again, based on the number of question marks, that can be an issue as well. And so I'm going to close. This is the book that I actually read. It's not a hard book to read. It's, I don't know, maybe 200 pages, but I thought it was very interesting, particularly somebody that's in any type of leadership. If you own your own, like Kenneth, somebody that's corporate person in leadership and stuff, it really went into detail to how to not only lead, but what I was really, really interested in is this digital texting and emojis and all, because I think it's so important for us. So, never do all caps. And I think we all know that because that goes back. So whether it's email or texting, don't do that. But do reread all your email and your texts, because, punctuation and the way that we come across on digital media these days is kind of how we get dressed. You don't want to be the girl that shows up with her buttons all misdone and it's a coffee stain on her blouse and her hair all a mess and maybe mascara smeared. That's kind of where this shows who we are. The last thing, and it's funny, Carrie actually went over this and they mentioned this in this book. Omit from our vocabulary. And the bells went off with this because we had this, with Carrie, with all the overviews we were doing through the week. And she said, do not use the word you guys. In fact, when she got to me, I was like, it's not in my vocabulary. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because I didn't want to input it in my brain at that point. But if you've ever started, and I've done this many times, and then I wind up erasing it, I automatically type in, hey guys, and then I take it back out, and put another greeting in there. But they also suggest you get rid of the hey guys, salutation as well, and not put that in there as well. So I hope you found this as fun as I did. I think it's an important part of our business that we haven't addressed so far. So some of it's fun, some of it's great, but I do think it's important. So I'm going to stop the share and then I will, if I can get to it. Oh, there we go. All right, there we go. We're back to you, Bobby.
Well, one thing's for sure, I've screwed up 1,000,000 times.
We all have.
That's all I can say. I can't even count how many times I've messed up with that. But especially with the laugh faces where one's sympathetic and one is hilarious, man, I mess that one up more times than I can count. But hey, I got one more announcement and then we'll unmute if anyone's got any questions. There's an event that's going to be coming up on the west coast of Florida for those that are in the Southeast. There'll be a reception Friday night, May 17th, and an all-day training on May 18th. We don't have the details. I'm just telling you, it's an event Brandon Cunningham is putting together. I talked to Kenneth about it. We're planning on attending. I know he's planning on attending, but it's a couple months out, but that's kind of how Brandon does things. He does it 2 or 3 months out. And so it's going to be somewhere on the West Coast. He's waiting for the contract to come back from the hotel. But there will be an event May 17, 18, somewhere in the Tampa area. Okay, it could be Clearwater, it could be St. Pete, it could be Tampa, but somewhere over there on the West Coast it'll be. So anyway, make note of that, especially if you have any prospects in Florida. But anyway, let's if you have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to share, unmute yourself and have at it. Everyone's muted, so you definitely have to unmute yourself.
Hey, this is Debbie. April, that was good. I loved your training tonight. And I was going through things in my head like, oh gosh, I know like we said, we've all made mistakes, but I did one with my daughter And I thought the eyeball thing I sent her just meant like, well, maybe that's what I'm thinking, or maybe so. She goes, what did you do the eye roll for? And I went, oh, that's what that meant. I was like,
Our
That's
kids
not
keep
what I
us
meant.
young.
We all
Yes.
needed that. We all needed that training. I'm for sure. And congrats to Kenneth.
Yes.
And then some people they don't use any punctuation, no capital letters. They just run, sentences together, and I'm sitting here trying to decipher where the sentence ends, where's the next one start. It's hard for an old brain.
It was so funny to see that, April, in the book, the you guys,
Yeah.
the opportunity things with Tara and Carrie. I mean, there were folks, there were ladies that said you guys 100 times in a 20-minute presentation. I mean, it was really, really bad, so, and we had talked to Carrie about it. She tried to tone it down, but when it's in somebody's vocabulary and it's the way they talk to people every day, it's hard to change, it's hard. Nobody means to sound dumb. Nobody means to be rude. Nobody means to be anything other than friendly. But, when you say it 100 times in 20 minutes, it's a bit much, Who else we got? Hey, Catalina, you unmuted. Did you want to say something?
No, yeah, I want to say that, yeah, I mean, yeah, this was excellent. I missed the first part, so, I want to see it in the group, but yeah, I messed up for sure many times.
Well, the international thing is a whole different animal. I remember,
Yeah.
I didn't meet an Indian person until I was an adult in my life. And I mean a person who came here from India, okay? And another adult came. I didn't know one until I was already an adult. And I can't tell you how long it took me to get over when they nodded their head sideways like this, and Americans do this. And like, I didn't know what they were doing. I'm like, I was confused because yes means they're nodding like this. And you can go to any country and it could be completely the opposite of what you're accustomed to. It could very easily be. It was just, so April, that was great stuff,
That is in
April.
South India. South Indians do that more. North India, they don't do. It's a
So
South
see,
India.
now it depends on where you are in India on which way they do it. See, it's
Yeah,
so confusing,
different.
you
It's
know? It's so confusing. Ira, what do you got? You look like you want to speak. You good? Everybody good? So do me a favor, raise your hands if you're going to Nashville. Would you raise your hands? Okay, I'm putting 2 up, okay, because we're going to be there for a week, so I'm putting 2 up. But it's like, I can't wait to get there. The events are always my favorite part of the business, always. I mean, the live events, the big ones, like coming up, and let's make the most of it. We're not sure what's going on as far as with our team goes, meaning all of you, but we do plan on making every night worthwhile. If the company ain't doing something, then we're going out into town to some country western something. Okay, we're going to do something to have a lot of fun. So every night will be accounted for sure. So we fly in Tuesday morning because there's an elite executive thing for a couple days before Thursday's leadership training. And Kenneth, you will be in that leadership training. That's another one. And you got to be MC3 and above to go to the leadership training. So, but anyone else, we'll let you go if nobody got anything else they want to share. April, that was awesome.
Thanks.
That was great. Have a good night, everybody. And let's get the month. By the way, the month is off to a fast start. The enrollments after 3 days for our team are where they were. Let's see, today's the 3rd. And it took last month, we had this number of enrollments on the 9th. And we have what we had on the 9th last month on the 3rd this month. So, which is what March is supposed to be about. You know, in college basketball, it's March Madness, but in multi-level marketing, it's March Madness too. It's when everything gets kicked into high gear. Okay, is what happens. So now's the time, folks. You know, I know some areas are still dealing with winter, but people start thinking spring. Okay, they start thinking about it. Maybe they get a good day or something. The reach outs, the phone calls, the touches need to increase now. It's that time. So anyway, have a good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And we hope to see you in Nashville, but we do have one more call next week, Sunday night before. So if we don't talk to you before, we'll see you next Sunday. Good night.
Awesome, awesome.
Night.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thanks. See you in
Thank you.
Nashville.
Good night.